Afternoon, everyone. My name is Lara and I work in our Health Partnerships team. And thank you for joining today for our course information session. So just a couple of housekeeping things. We do have a Q&A function down the bottom. Please put any questions in there. Sometimes we may respond to those questions as the webinar's going. One of our academics in the background may respond, or myself or Michelle Phillips is also joining from the Health Partnerships team as well. The other thing that will happen is there will be things put in the chat as the webinar goes on, just some information about the course, etc., when it's being spoken about. But also there will be some information at the end on how you can connect further if you do have any more questions. So feel free to reach out if you do have any more of those questions. This session is being recorded and will be sent out post-webinar, probably within the next couple of days. And once again, if there are any questions around anything, please feel free to reach out on the email that will be provided there. But I will move to the next slide. And I would just like to acknowledge country. So I'd like to acknowledge the Palawa Pakana of Lutruwita. I'm currently on beautiful Padaway, Burnie, and it's actually quite lovely here today compared to the last two. The traditional owners of the land upon which we live and work. We pay respects to elders past and present as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honour their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being and resilience of their communities. We stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language and history. I will now hand over to Farida, and Farida will also introduce everyone that's joining us today as well. Thanks, Farida.
Thank you, Lara, and hello, everyone. My name is Farida Sagafi. I'm Associate Professor of Nursing and Associate Head of a School, Learning and Teaching. I would like to welcome you from Gadigal Land, Sydney, from our beautiful Rozelle campus in Sydney, if you're in New South Wales. And we have a few things to go through in the next 50 minutes or so. I start with introducing team, and they will all talk in their section. So we have Annette Saunders, who's course coordinator for Graduate Certificate in Advanced Nursing. Darnat McCann is course coordinator for Graduate Diploma level and also Graduate Certificate in Addiction Study. And Michelle Palivoda is our course coordinator for Master Degree. Thank you. So just giving you an overview of our postgraduate course in 2026. It was the first time that we have a new course now. We've been running courses in postgrad for years now, and we decided to reconfigure our courses. So what you see in here, this is the new model that was implemented in 26, and you might be interested to enroll in semester 2, or is that for next year? This is what you will see. So there are three different degrees: the graduate certificate level and diploma and master program, with the 22 specializations from the certificate up to master program, which makes it quite a unique variety of units and pathways to choose from. Just gives flexibility to our students, and the aim is upskilling our clinicians and really being future focused. As we know, there is more and more appetite to extend the scope of practice for nurses, or we can say let them practice in their full scope. So we have been trying to do what clinicians want, but also what the health industry wants, how we can fulfill the requirements and how we can fulfill the requirements of our communities with their health needs. We go to the next slide, please. So I already mentioned a few things. Why you study with UTAS? Well, we are perhaps one of the biggest, if it's not the biggest, courses in postgraduate nursing. So that gives you opportunity to really connect with the many thousands of other clinicians across the board from various states in Australia. We are very proud to say that our unit coordinators and people who write the curriculum, people who run the curriculum, they are expert clinicians in the field. Some of them are very well known. If you've been practicing in a specialization, you would see their name as president of this association or editor of this and that. So they have a big footprint in the industry and in the discipline. So we are very happy and very proud to have them as our unit coordinators, as our teachers and lecturers. So as a result, with that high quality of teaching, of course, then we have high quality of experience of our students. We are sitting above national level. As a student evaluation survey says, this is a national level survey that is done across all universities, and it's externally done. It's nothing to do with university. We receive those reports and we can see the level of satisfaction with our courses way above other courses. So that's another attractive point, obviously, and the flexibility and choices you have. I just already showed you, and we'll go through in a minute in further details, but number of specializations, really amazing. Over 20 specializations are in courses, and with the focus in every specialization. So it's not overlapping across. We have units focus on that specialization, which is make it very unique. And of course, attractive scholarships that you will receive if you study with us. Thank you. I might pass it now to Annette Saunders, who is our graduate certificate course coordinator. Thank you, Annette.
Thank you, Farida. I love this slide because it really reflects a lot of the work that we've been doing over the last few years with our program. So one of the things that we've really focused on is authentic assessments, and particularly looking at, the effects of Gen AI and we've used this as an opportunity as we develop these assessments. So we know that Gen AI can do a fairly decent essay or case study. They can certainly do multiple choice quizzes. So instead of us trying to focus on, how people are cheating, we're focusing on how we can assess learning in a really authentic way. So you will notice that in many of our units now, we have an online interactive assessments where you meet with tutors, and these tutors are your experienced senior colleagues that you're working with. They've got contemporary experts. And you have a professional discussion. And what happens is you've been learning all of this wonderful contemporary content that has been developed by our specialisation leads, and you'll do some assessments that are really based on contributing to your learning. And then you have an interactive oral assessment where it's a little bit nerve-wracking at the time, but once you get in there and you meet these really supportive staff, you just talk about how you're applying your knowledge in practice. The feedback that we're getting at the moment at the end of semester one is students, while they were nervous to start with, have really enjoyed it, because instead of worrying about whether they've got the right full stop in the right spot for APA 7, they're really being able to demonstrate their learning and how they're applying it in practice. We've got a variety of other assessments as well, such as portfolios, professional portfolios, which are wonderful in the way that you can collect artefacts of your learning and put them in your portfolio and use that as you're applying for promotion or evidence of ARPA CPD. So that's one thing that you'll notice. Back to where we were, there's that emphasis on quality. We have specialisation leads, and I've got a slide coming up about that. But these specialisation leads, as I said, are clinically current, and what you can be assured of is the content that you're learning is really up to date, because these people are working in that area. A lot of them are doing research in that area as well. Another thing we're really proud of is our supportive and student-centred approach. Universities have traditionally been very rigid in processes, but we're very focused on supporting learning. We know that you're busy RNs. We know that we're really happy to be supporting your learning and making you better nurses within your specialisations. So we have librarians that are very happy to meet with you in person, or there are a number of different online resources. You can meet them via Zoom. Learning advisors, if you haven't studied for some time, and they're very happy to support you. Student advisors as well. We've got, if you do find that you are a little bit stressed, we've got free counselling, which is great. And another thing that we've moved towards is, where possible, we try and give you extensions. So I know when I started studying, I almost had to give my firstborn child for a 24-hour extension, but we do, where we can, give up to 3 days extension without requiring you to go to a doctor and say, can I have a certificate? Because I'm stressed, because I'm working and I've got a family and I'm trying to study as well. So please keep that in mind. There's a lot of resources out there. You just need to ask. The one thing that we are heartbroken about is if we get to the end of a semester and find that someone's been struggling, because we can't help unless you reach out. So please do so. So this is my course, the Graduate Certificate in Advanced Nursing. It's all fully online. There is certainly opportunities for you to attend online webinars, but nothing in person apart from child and family health, because that has a professional experience placement element, understandably. You can complete it over 1 year, so that's 2 units per semester, or a maximum of 3 years part-time. We do often find people enrol in 1 semester and 2 units, and then they find it might be a little bit of a juggle for them, so they withdraw from 1 unit. And if you do that before census, it isn't a problem at all. There are no penalties. So 4 units, 50 credit points. We don't take new grads. We want you to have at least 6 months full-time experience once you've finished your degree, because, the learning curve, as you come out as a registered nurse, you really need to focus on, applying your knowledge before you start building on others. And obviously you have to be registered with AHPRA. So here are our specialisations. I've got a star next to the specialisations that have a semester 1 only entry. The others you can come in at the graduate certificate level in semester 2. In most of those, you need to be working at least 2 days a week in the specialisation. And there's a really good reason for that. We really want you to be applying your learning in practice. It's really important. You really can't complete the assessments unless you're doing that. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. If you are unsure which specialisation is right for you, please feel free to contact me. For example, in a lot of universities, their critical care nursing encompasses emergency, intensive care, high acuity cardiovascular, but we have specific critical care nursing is specific to intensive care. You must be working in an intensive care unit at least 2 days a week. And we don't want you to be in the wrong specialisation, because it sort of puts you back if you have to come out and go into another one. Emergency nursing is only if you're working in an emergency department somewhere in Australia, and it has to be 2 days a week. It's not, if you want to work in emergency, you need to wait until you're working in that emergency department, and you can be supported in that practice. In other specialisations, such as clinical teaching and leadership, those are the sort of, and quality and safety, you can be working anywhere, but you need to be able to apply that knowledge when you're in practice. Just the last one there is perioperative nursing. You need to be working, so peri-anaesthesia is anaesthetic and recovery, or PACU, and perioperative nursing is working as scrub scout within the actual theatre environment. And we are extending that to people who are working in day procedures as well. So there's that option for you as well. We've got 2 slides here with our wonderful specialisation leads who are based all over Australia, from Tasmania, right up through New South Wales, Victoria, up to Queensland. We've got our addiction studies specialisation lead is based in Perth, and we've got our renal nursing specialisation lead who's in South Australia. So we're everywhere. And I'll move on to the other slide so you can see their wonderful faces. And please keep in mind that these people, they're the specialisation leads, they're also unit coordinators, and they're really happy to provide support. Reach out to them. And I think that leads you to take over there, Dinah.
It does indeed. So just some information about the graduate diploma in advanced nursing. So you can enrol directly into the graduate diploma, or you might choose to do your graduate certificate, then wait for a couple of years and then enrol in the graduate diploma. So if you've done your graduate certificate with us, then you're staying within the same specialisation. Then when you enrol in the graduate diploma, you get recognition of that prior learning for your certificate, because the graduate diploma is a total of 8 units. And so if you're just enrolling the graduate diploma, you have 8 units to study, 4 of which sit within your specialty space. But if you've already done your graduate certificate, then you only have 4 additional units to do. We also consider recognition of prior learning if you have studied a graduate certificate in the same specialty somewhere else, or you have done studies somewhere else. And so we do try and provide that recognition where we can. The course is split up into, that's fine. Entry requirements is very similar to the graduate certificate. So the difference with the graduate diploma is that it's split up into 3 pathways, and that's in recognition of the fact that nurses are, might have different approaches or interests for their career, and so how they study the graduate diploma can assist them with meeting their career expectations or just what they're interested in. So we have a nursing coursework pathway, and that's really the most flexible of the courses. So you've had a clinical focus with your specialty units, and then I'll show you in just a moment the range of core option units that you can choose, and so you can build your capabilities in that way. We then have a nursing research pathway, which is particularly helpful for those who are wanting to incorporate research more actively in their career, or are thinking about progressing on to research higher degree study. And we also have our RM prescribing pathway, which I'll let Farida talk about in just a little bit more detail in a moment. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Dinah. So,
I was just going to talk about the core unit options that are available. So they're on the screen at the moment, and really they're just up there, not, so that you can look at all those quickly, but just to show you the breadth of units that are available. And so depending which pathway you're in, you have a greater or less flexibility around core option units. But what it allows you to do is either continue to study clinically focused units that assist you in your specialty. So you might be improving your knowledge and skills in pain management or wound management, the deteriorating patient. You might want to have a look at add mental health, even though that's not where you work, but because you look after patients who are experiencing mental health issues, or you might use it as an opportunity to learn about an area that you think you might like to move into. So if you want to be sort of taking on more of a leadership management role, and you're thinking that perhaps you'd like to move into quality and safety, then it might be good to do a unit that focuses on quality and safety, so you gain that knowledge and skills, but also get a feel for whether that is something that you would like to be doing. Or similarly, if you are wanting to move into like a clinical nurse educator role, and you want to gain some knowledge and skills in around learning and teaching and supporting people with their education in practice, then one of those clinical teaching units. So it really just depends where you want to take your career, but we have a lot of options available, and it's really you choose your own adventure. Thanks. I'll pass to you now, Frida.
Thank you. So I'll just want to focus a bit more on RN prescribing pathway. So as Dinah said, this is one of the 3 pathways. And what it does is it just gives you a guide on which units to choose in the graduate diploma level. Graduate diploma has 4 units in it, assuming you've already done 4 units in a grad cert level. So the 4 units is specifically to RN prescribing pathway are what is listed here. One is about evidence-informed practice, about medication principles, and also the implications of medication, which is clinical perspective of therapeutic medication management, and then advanced health assessment. So these 4 particular units, they've been credited by the ANMAC, by Australian Nursing Midwifery Accreditation Council and Nursing Midwifery Board of Australia to be a qualification for endorsement as a designated RN prescriber. So as you may already know, to be endorsed as a designated RN prescriber, beside the qualification, you still need to have also 3,000 hours of practice experience, and also you need to have a workplace that supports an agreement between you and the employer, and also having a autonomous prescriber, which can be a nurse practitioner or it could be a medical officer. They need to have work with you for 6 months in a mentorship relationship. There is an agreement with that workplace and with that prescriber, so you work with them. So there are those conditions which has nothing to do with university. Obviously, it's between you and your workplace, but also those hours of your experience that you have to give evidence to APRA to be endorsed. But the part that relates to the qualification, we have received accreditation earlier this year. That's last year, December last year, and we were the 4th university in Australia to receive the accreditation, which we are very pleased for that. So you need to do these 4 units, and that's in your transcript to be able to apply for that endorsement. Now, if you want to do whole graduate diploma, which is great, then you start from grad cert, and these units are sitting in a grad diploma. Some people might prefer to do the units and don't want to do whole grad dip. That's an option as well, but it's easier, obviously, if you have a whole degree, because it comes in your transcript as being an RN prescriber pathway, so that would make it easier. Thank you. And I believe now Michelle going to take over to talk about Master in Advanced Nursing.
Thank you, Frida. Today I'm pleased to introduce the Master of Advanced Nursing specialisation at the University of Tasmania. This is a fully online program, just like the Grad Cert and the Grad Dip, and that you can even do in the pyjamas at home. And it's designed for registered nurses who are ready to advance their expertise and take the next step in their professional journey. It offers flexibility for working nurses with a typical part-time duration of approximately 1 year, but with the flexibility to take up to 3 years to complete. Now, the Masters builds on prior postgraduate study, incorporating 100 credit points from the graduate diploma, plus an additional 50 credit points across 3 Masters units. Now, this structure ensures a strong foundation whilst allowing students to further specialise and extend their clinical and research capabilities. Now, to be eligible, applicants must have a grad dip in the same specialisation. They must hold an APRA registration without restrictions and have at least 6 months of full-time equivalent clinical experience. A key strength for this program, if I can just switch to the next page, please, is the choice of 3 tailored pathways, allowing students to align their studies with their career goals. So we have the nursing coursework pathway, the nursing research pathway, and which is designed for those who wish to undertake further study, and it prepares them for PhD candidature. And finally, the advanced practice pathway, which helps prepare nurses for those advanced prescribing roles. Now, overall, this program prepares graduates to become leaders in advanced nursing practice, equipped with clinical expertise, critical thinking, and research capability to improve patient outcomes and respond to the complexities of the modern healthcare system. So if you're in the if you're an undergraduate listening in, or even a grad cert or a grad dip, if you're seeking to advance your career and make a greater impact in your field, then our Masters provides a flexible and meaningful pathway forward. Thank you. Pass on to Chandel.
Chandel isn't here, so I'm happy to talk to this one. So yeah, our Bachelor of Nursing Honours course coordinator is Chandel Elmer, who is not able to be with us today. But just to let you know about the Bachelor of Nursing Honours program, which is also sort of sitting at that postgraduate level. So why would you do Bachelor of Nursing Honours? I think this is particularly aimed towards people who, have been out in practice, are bothered by things that they see, that they think might be able to do better, and they think, I want to know more about this, I want to investigate this, or I want to change this. And so you can do a research project around that. Or you can do it straight after your undergraduate degree as well. So during your Bachelor of Nursing Honours, you plan and complete a research project working closely with supervisors, usually two supervisors who support you and promote your learning. It's a great way to gain skills in research, which increasingly are desirable for nurses to have. But it's also, if you achieve first class honours or upper second class honours, it can be a direct pathway into a PhD. So it's probably the most direct pathway. What do you gain? You gain research skills, so it's really good research training. Sometimes you find an answer to something that's been frustrating you, and it's just learning those skills about project management, generating, being able to do data analysis, get answers, writing. We really encourage students who do honours to write up their research and publish it, and so that's also a great bonus for you. And as I said, the pathway. So also consider honours.
Thanks, Diana. I think I'm taking over from here, and I can already see there's a question in the Q&A around scholarships. So we do offer very generous health partner scholarships. So for everyone that's on this call today, they can use that QR code. And for those that are potentially watching the recording, if you type health partner scholarships UTAS into Google, it will come up as well. I've tried it a couple of times. But each organisation or provider that you work for has a particular partner page. You can find further information around the scholarship and the pricing. But I would suggest going and having a look at the A to Z listings, and you will find a little bit further information there. So this particular question was around NT Health. We are partnered, we do have a partnership with NT Health. So yeah, you can find some further information. But for nearly all of you today, if not all of you, there would be something there. So I encourage everyone to use either the QR code or to look it up online. Now, there is a step-by-step way of how to access the Health Partner Employee Declaration Form. I will say this bit of the process comes after. So what you need to do first is apply for your course, accept your course. You are then admitted into your program, and then that's when you can go ahead and apply for the scholarship. So I'll have a little bit further information around that as well, just in terms of what the process looks like. For some of you on the call today, you've probably already done a few of these stages. So for anyone that hasn't applied, you absolutely can do. And if you do have any particular or any specific questions around the specialisation that you're looking at and whether you're eligible, please reach out to probably Annette in the first instance is always a great one. But if you do have a question about any of the other pathways, you can obviously reach out as well. So the next step after applying is obviously receiving an offer and accepting that offer, and then you can move on to the enrolment stage. So enrolment is, like I said, where you do that health declaration form. It sits all in the one system, and I was going to say it's easy to navigate. Sometimes it is not. Let's be honest there. Sometimes it's not easy to navigate. So if you do have any questions, you can contact our UniConnect team as well. You can either call them or you can send them an email. I would suggest calling in the first instance, especially if it's a quick fix, and they can obviously provide a little bit more information and support during that process as well. So if anyone does have any questions around that, pop them in the Q&A, happy to answer them. We will also have a postgraduate nursing support session. So this is the first time we've offered this, and this is a pre-orientation session. So what we're looking at there is covering key topics like specialisations, enrolment, key dates, what to expect when you get started, and a bit of a step-by-step guidance on that health partner scholarship and what it looks like, and the declaration as well. So we know that we do get several questions around the process, and we know that people just want to jump in and get started, and sometimes the administrative side of things is a bit of a burden. So we're hoping that this particular session will support people a little bit better than potentially what has been in the past. The QR code there will lead you to the orientation page. You will then pop your details in, or it might pre-populate depending, and you can choose health and then the pre-orientation session that is attached to advanced nursing. So look for those things. And if you do have any issues, you can reach out to the email that you'll receive when we send out this recording. So that's not a drama. Thank everyone today, and I'm very proud because we're finishing right on time. So thank you all for coming along today. Thank you for your questions and your patience. Thank you to our academic team and also to Michelle for joining as well. And like I said, if there's any more questions, please reach out on the email and you will receive this particular recording today and a way to reply back if you wish to, and if you do have any more questions. So thank you, everyone. And I hope that it's been informative. So have a great day. Thanks. Bye.